Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cheryl if you're new here, and today I'm here to bring you the books that I am the most excited to read in 2018. Or these are the books that I need to read by the end of 2018. Now, it was actually kind of hard to make this list, not because I'm not excited to read books, but because how the hell was I supposed to narrow this down to like a manageable number? I could honestly just list off 50 books that like I want to read in 2018. I need to read like now. But I limited myself. I have 7 books to talk about today, and yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the books that I need to read by the end of 2018. Obviously, I hope to read more than this, but this is just some of the ones that I'm most excited about. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I have the first book here, A Darker Shade of Magic. I read the second one from the library. I don't own it. I only own the first one, but the only thing that has kept me from finishing this trilogy, because it's a trilogy, I only have one more to read and I'm done. I know she's coming out with more books set in the world, but this story wraps up in the last one, so why haven't I read it yet? Honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of scared too. I've heard such fantastic things about the third one. However, the second one was alright. That was it. I enjoyed the first one a lot. Second one was really slow. It had a lot of build-up for me for very little reward at the end, and it really kind of felt like a second book, like a middle book slump. And I'm afraid the last one is not going to be as good as I'm hoping, and it's significantly longer than these other ones in the series, and so these are some of the reasons that I'm a little terrified to continue the series. If you don't know, A Darker Shade of Magic is set in a world where there are 4 parallel Londons. One is the current London, like our London, where it has no magic, and that is Grey London. There's Red London, which is full of magic and life, and then there is White London, which the magic is slowly taking over the world and draining it of life, and then there's Black London, where the magic has taken over completely, and it is desolate, and no one travels there. And our main character, Kel, can travel between the Londons, and he smuggles things, and it's just... The series is so much fun to read, and I enjoy the characters, so why haven't I continued it? The same reason I haven't finished or continued a lot of series, and that is just fear they're not going to be as good as I expect them or want them to be. So this next book I hope to read in 2018 is one I also don't own, but I'm going to show the first book in the series, and that is Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. I have here Twilight. It is the 4th and final book in the Twilight series, and you may be wondering, why do you want to read that book? And that is because I am doing a reread of this series. I started it last year. I have a review for both Twilight and New Moon already up on my channel. I will link both those down below if you are interested in my very ranty and angry thoughts on them. I am rereading this series out of like nostalgia and because I know it's bad, but I want to remember how bad it is. I know that's like a petty reason, and it's not for everyone. If you don't like people who hate read video, like if you don't like it when a booktuber hate reads something for the express purpose of doing a negative review, then those videos are definitely not for you. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about this series. Like everyone, I loved it when I was younger. Then I went through a very pretentious phase where I absolutely hated it and everything and everyone associated with it. And now I can appreciate it for, 1, the nostalgia, and 2, for what it did for YA. It really opened it up as a genre and really got me into reading in a way that no other book series had, and I know that is the story for a lot of people. However, upon rereading these books, I realized just how problematic they are and how bad the writing is, and I'm currently in the middle of Eclipse, and I don't know if I can finish it because there is a scene that happens that is just so... It boils my blood. It is so rage-inducing, where Jacob kisses Bella without her consent, and then it is brushed off as if... And she gets mad about it, but then it is brushed off as in, well, he's just a boy, he's gonna do what he wants to do anyway. Oh, I forgive him. It is... There's a lot of problematic things about that book, but that scene literally had me raging in bed last night. So, I don't know when I'm gonna get to Breaking Dawn, because it is a trial to get through Eclipse, but I would like to finish this series, both the book series and that video series in 2018, so I don't really have to deal with it anymore. I don't know if I'm going to read Life and Death. I don't know if I'm going to read the novella that comes after Eclipse, the The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. I never read that the first time I read the series, so I don't really have a nostalgic attachment to that one. But yes, I would like to finish both the book series and the video series, like I said, in 2018, so I can get these out of my life because they make me angry. And another popular and nostalgic series for a lot of people here on BookTube that I want to continue is with City of Ashes by Cassandra. By Cassandra Clare. This is in her City of Bones, or I guess that's not. It's the Mortal Instruments. Unlike a lot of people, I actually did not read this series when I was younger. I read the first book last year, City of Bones, and it was alright. It was a first book in a series. I could tell it was the first book that she had published. I believe the writing was that way, so if I'm wrong about that, then I hope she improves. This is just the next book in the series. I can't remember how many there are in this original series. Quite a few, and then I know she has the Infernal Devices, which is like in the universe but set in the past, and they all start intertwining, and then she has other series set in this world. So I've got a lot of books to get through, but this one is on my shelf currently. I don't own any of the other ones, so I would like to continue this, see what all the fuss is about. I know Emma Books is doing a year-long readathon through all of the Mortal Instruments books. I will leave her announcement video to that link below. I might follow along with that. I'm not sure. It really depends on how much I like City of Ashes, because if I don't really like this book, I'm not going to push myself through the entire series just to get to like Lady Midnight and stuff, which everyone says is the fantastic books in the series. So we will see. I would like to continue this one though, and we will see if I continue past this. Oh, look at that. It's blurbed by Stephanie Meyer. Oh boy. The next book I would like to read in 2018 is also one that is part of a readathon, or read-along rather, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I will leave a link to that video down below if you're interested in following that readathon. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to as well. I have a hard time committing to readathons, if you can't tell. But this is just an epic high fantasy series. I believe there are 11 books in the Wheel of Time series. I have not read any of them. I feel like such a false fantasy fan because I've never read these, which is, if you like fantasy, you like fantasy. You don't have to read specific series to be a fantasy fan, but this is such, like, a big series in the fantasy world, and for me not to have read it, I feel, like, icky inside. I'm so weird. I know that is a very negative viewpoint to have, but I do hope to pick this book up. If you watched my books I wanted to read before the end of 2017 video, this book appeared. Obviously, I did not get to it, and I was deceived because this is like almost an 800-page mass market, even though the pages, it doesn't look like it's that big. So, oh, I lied, there's 12 books. Once again, don't know when I'm going to get to this, don't know if I'm going to get to this. I really hope I do. It's been on my shelf for quite a while. It's always intimidating to dive into a series with like 12 plus books, but it's time. 2018 is the year that I'm going to start all of these series that I want to, and hopefully finish some of them too, because I am really bad about that. I'll start series, like look at the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I only have one book left, but I've had one book left for a while now. And the last 3 books are books that I do not have physical copies of, and the first one is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This exploded on BookTube last year. It is a contemporary that follows, or rather was inspired by, the Black Lives Movement. I know the main character witnesses, or is the sole witness, I believe, to her friend being murdered by a cop, and it just kind of deals with the ramifications and going through that. It deals a lot with racism, and I am very, very interested to read this book. I'm not a contemporary person, as I've said many times, but a lot of YouTubers and booktubers who I follow who are like me and not contemporary people and are predominantly fantasy readers have loved this book still, and so I have high hopes for it. I don't know if I will purchase my own copy or if I will get it from the library, but I definitely want to make this one to read in 2018 because it is an important story to be told, and I'm looking forward to it and seeing what all of this hype is about. The next book I hope to get to in 2018 is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I read the first book in her Gemma Doyle trilogy, I'll pop a photo up here, I don't remember the title, and it was mediocre. I didn't like it very much, not enough to continue the series. I DNF'd the series. I finished the book, but I DNF'd the series. So I hadn't picked up The Diviners for that reason, because it's like, well, I didn't really like her other book. I don't know if I'll like this one. However, this book is, in this series as a whole, is so well regarded here on BookTube. And there are a lot of people who seem to love the Diviner series but did not particularly care for her other series. So I have high hopes that even though I didn't like the once again, I don't remember what they're called. Even though I didn't like her other trilogy, that maybe I will enjoy this one. I hope so. And the last book I want to get to in 2018, which I am like, out of all of these on this list, I know for a fact I'm going to get to it because nothing can stop me, and that is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna McGuire. This is the third book in her Wayward Children. I don't know if it's a trilogy, if it's a series, but that world. I read the first two. Every Heart a Doorway is the first one, and I know Beneath the Sugar Sky is a direct sequel to that one, so you have to have read Every Heart a Doorway in order to read this third one. And I also read Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is a prequel to the first one, and I recommend you having read the first one, but you don't have to. It doesn't spoil any events for Every Heart a Doorway, if that makes sense. But this third one is a direct sequel, and so I'm very interested to read it. I've heard reviews from people who have gotten ARCs of it, and so advanced reader copies, and so they were talking super highly of it, said that the atmosphere is different than her other books in the series so far, so I'm very curious to see, and this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm so looking forward to it. I've given both of her other books, Every Heart a Doorway and Down Among the Sticks and Bones, 5 stars, and it is not very often that I give an entire series so far 5 stars, and I'm looking forward to it. Alright, those are all the books that I hope to read by the end of 2018. Obviously, I'm going to hope to read more than that, but these are some of the books that I'm like, I need to get to by the end of this year, that if I don't get to these books, I'm gonna feel like a failure. So let me know down below some of the books you hope to get to by the end of 2018. Are any of these books on your list? Have you read any of these books? If so, what did you think of them? And I will see all of you in my next video. Bye!